Hello, everyone. My name is Chantal Lucier. On behalf of the Reflexology Association of California, and to honor World Reflexology Week, which begins today, I am very excited to bring to you the gift that reflexology is to your health and well-being. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Chantal. I am a national board certified reflexology practitioner and a national board certified reflexology educator. I've been doing it since 2007, and I'm so honored to bring this class to you today. It is the power that is reflexology, and we're going to be focusing on self-care hand reflexology. Some common concerns that we're going to address today are going to be neck and shoulder pain, back discomfort, stress, and sleep. We will also talk about what reflexology is, how it works. We'll look at the mini maps. We could look at some other structures too. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with what reflexology is. So this has it's been written in this way as well, but I love saying it like this. Reflexology is a science and it's an art. It is a science because of how it works. It works with the central nervous system. It's a science because of how it works. It's an art because of how we do it, how I apply pressure, how I give a session, and how you will give self-care to yourself. Okay. One very important thing to note before we talk about the definition is reflexology is not massage, right? It's not a foot rub. I am a certified massage therapist, and I'm a certified reflexologist, so I know the difference, right? As a massage therapist, that's dealing with fascia, connective tissue, musculature, right? As a reflexologist, I'm pressing on areas, I'm pressing on points only in the hands, only in the feet, only in the ears. And when I'm applying pressure, that's sending messages back to corresponding exterior structures and interior structures. So like the stuff on the outside, shoulders, hips, knees, and also organs and glands. So it's different in that way. Totally different parts of the body, but also it's different in technique. It's a very different set of techniques that go into what you do as a massage therapist and what you do as a reflexologist. Yeah, yeah, so much more to say about that. And there are other, practices too. Sometimes in my classes, people will say, oh, is it like acupressure? Is it like acupuncture? And it's not, right? That's a different system. Acupuncture is inserting a needle, say, or acupressure, pressing on an area that is along a meridian line, right? An energy pathway. That's very different than reflexology. So let's see, what else do I want to say about that? Reflexology, it's a map of your whole body from head to toe is located. It's a mini map, is located in my hands. And I'm going to show you one very soon. But it's as if it's in a fetal position. So you are in a fetal position, your hands up to your sides like this, your knees are into your chest. The top of my head is the top of my fingers. The base of my wrists, like base of my hand, my wrist, that's like my sacrum, right? That's my lower back. Those are my gluteals, my hips, my reproductive area, right? It's from head to toe. And like I said, I'll share my screen and I'll show you some detail once we get into the actual palm of the hand. So in reflexology, when we apply pressure on a certain point, what happens? So this is my left hand. I'm pressing on my left adrenal gland. My adrenal gland, we got two of them. They sit on top of our kidneys, right? That's located in my body. In reflexology, there's a mini map in my hand, okay? So I'm going to apply pressure to my left adrenal. It's going to send a message back via my central nervous system. The central nervous system is just the spinal cord in the brain, right? That's your central nervous system. So I apply pressure, right? This is my touch. This is my tactile input. I apply pressure. Spinal cord, brain. If I press too hard, if I dig in there really, really, really deep, it's going to send that message. Spinal cord, brain, the brain's going to be like, send a motor response, pull that hand away, right? We don't want to do that. We want to go just deep enough. The reflexology points and areas are just below the surface. I don't need to dig in there, right? What am I looking for? I just go below the surface, subcutaneous tissue. So I press there, spinal cord, brain. Instead of sending a motor response that would pull the hand away, instead it goes spinal cord, brain, left adrenal in my body, have greater blood flow or circulation, and therefore relax. And that's what I want to do. So in a session, it's almost like you could think of it like turning on and off a light switch. You're lighting up that inner body. I also like to say, you know, I'm no healer as a practitioner. I happen to know the areas to press. I do continued education constantly. So I really am very aware of this reflexology thing, the map, how it works, and how to address certain structures. But it's your body that's doing the healing because it's your nervous system. I'm just providing the input, right? I'm just providing the touch. So that leads me into the next thing, which is how does reflexology work? And this is best understood through our nervous system, right? So I already said central nervous system, spinal cord, brain. Okay, this is how I like to explain it because it goes for many things. Every single thing that you see and taste and touch, everything that touches you, everything you smell, all of that sensory data, all that external stimuli, the external stuff that is all around us, in order for us to process that, it has to go through an internal process. So external stuff has to be processed internally. So when I apply pressure to a point, that's touch, right? That touch sends a signal to the client or to your own spinal cord, brain, and the brain has to send a message back. So I already described it. If you go too hard, it's going to pull away, right? That's going to be a motor response. So we go just deep enough. Yes. Make sense? I hope that makes sense. We can really talk about, well, let me describe it like this. I want it to make sense. I explained it with tactile input, with touch, right? But it also could be like, have you ever bitten into something really bitter, like a lemon? So if you bit into a lemon, that taste, like lightning speed, that's another example of what has to be processed internally. That has to go spinal cord, brain, and the brain sends a response back, right? It's like, ooh, tart. Pucker those lips, squint the eyes, pour, you know, it's sending these responses back from the sensory input. Okay. Hopefully it makes sense. If it doesn't, write a question and we'll talk about it a little bit more. We could always go deeper. There's so much to explore in reflexology. Okay, so yeah, nervous system, all about communicating, right? And that brains receive, process, they store memories like that. They interpret, they respond, and send back messages to stimuli. That's like its job. That's one of its jobs. That's one of the brain's jobs. In reflexology, we are intentionally, specifically applying pressure to that mini map. The brain gets to receive that message, it interprets it, and it sends back a response at lightning speed. And it's a good one, right? We call it a relaxation response. It's sending that message back. This is why people often fall asleep when they receive reflexology, right? We're kicking you into that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest, not fight or flight. And people find when doing self-care, especially, I'll talk you through it in a little bit, when doing self-care, you also might find yourself getting a little sleepy, which will be particularly good when we're looking at things like addressing sleep or stress, okay? So let's talk about this map. I already said your entire body is reflected in your hands, feet, and ears. I would like to show you my map. I'm going to share my screen. This map is very similar to and based on what many of us practitioners learned in our initial training, and that's the Inga Map. So it is exactly that, entire body, fetal position, reflected in the hands and feet. So the only reason why this is different is it's a little bit more colorful maybe, and I wanted the organs and glands and areas to look like, kind of like what they do in the body. So that's how it's a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. Share screen. Okay, so the power that is reflexology. Yes, this is what we're doing today. All right, this is the hand reflexology map. So we're not going to go into the whole map today. I wish we had that kind of time. Today, we're just going to be looking at this area here under the 5th digit. This is the palm of your hand. We're going to look at what's under the 5th digit right here, under the 4th digit here. We're going to look at this medial aspect of your hand, starting from the base of your thumbnail all the way down that medial side, and then the base of your palm, right? Just above your wrist. We'll be focusing on that. We will also focus a little bit on the center of every single finger, right? We will also look at this diaphragm, and we will look at the adrenal. Those are our points today. There's so many other things in here, and I'll talk about it briefly a little bit later, but essentially shoulders, neck, which will be in all of your digits, brain, in all of your digits on your fingerprints, your diaphragm line, we call it the diaphragm line because it's that upper line just underneath these metacarpal heads. And then also where this orange dot is, that's going to be your adrenals. So those are the points we're going to look at today. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing right now so I could show you the technique. And then we will look at, I'll show you the technique, and then we'll go back to a screen share and kind of zoom in so you know exactly where to go, exactly what to do. Okay. So we're going to be doing a press and hold, and we're also going to be doing a thumb walking. So in a press and hold, all you have to make sure to do, this is my left hand, is you're going to hold the back side, and then I'm going to bend my thumb like that. So I'm going to apply pressure using the tip of this thumb right there. I don't have to bend anymore. That might hurt my joint, right? So I'm just going to use this area here. So I hold the back side, I'm going to bend at my joint, and it's kind of like a straight line almost, right? Between that bend and my wrist, it's pretty straight. What I'm doing is I'm actually using this muscle, right? That's bending. If you think about a muscle, how it can take weight, how it can bear weight is when it's in flexion, right? Like a bicep, right? If that was in flexion, you could pick up some heavy groceries, you could do a push-up, you can do that because it's in flexion. If it was an extension, you might drop the groceries, you wouldn't be able to hold very long. It's the same, it's another muscle, it's just smaller, right? So you're gonna bend and it goes into flexion, and then I apply a nice medium pressure. It doesn't matter where you're pressing right now, this is just for the technique. So I am pressing and holding. Generally, I press and hold for 5 seconds. So let's do the other side and do it together. I'm going to press or bend, really, really relax this hand, and I hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now try another area, anywhere on the hand, it doesn't matter. You bend at the joint, the thumb joint. You relax the hand that it's going into, and you hold. 2, 4, 5. And last time, anywhere in the hand, 1. Really relax. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your press and hold. You could also do it with your fingertip. So go ahead and put your thumbprint on your thumbnail. Thumbprint, thumbnail. So my thumbprint is going to go on the back of my other thumbnail. And then with this finger, I'm going to bend it just like I did with the thumb. And I'm going to go right to the center here. I'm going to go right to the center and I'm going to press in and hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I try the other side, holding the nail, because I'm always wanting to hold the back side. Otherwise, it's going to go away from me. So I'm going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your press and hold. You could do it with a finger. You could do it with a thumb. You could even do it with your bone, right? You could press and hold using any part of your finger. And I encourage you, as you move through these 2 to 3 techniques that we're talking about, is to follow your intuition, right? When you press using your finger, maybe you find it easier to use that part of your bone, right? What kind of like twisting off a cap, right? It's a bottle cap technique, right? You could literally hold on to something and then twist. You could hold on to something and press. That might be easier for you. It might feel better. And you don't want to distort your body in any kind of way or feel discomfort in any of your joints. So follow your intuition on that. That's your press and hold. Thumb walking is a great way to traverse an area of the body within the reflexology map. So for instance, if I wanted to really detail your liver, I would want to get every single nook and cranny, right? So I want to do that here too. Using the liver example, this is my right hand. The liver is mostly on the right-hand side of the body. I would want to detail this whole area here. And the best way to do that wouldn't be to press and hold, lift, press and hold. Instead, I'd want to thumb walk or finger walk over the entire area without lifting up. So what that's going to look like is I press in and hold. Now, if I'm going to walk, I'm going to unbend a little and bend, unbend a little and bend, unbend a little and bend, unbend a little. I still have pressure when I unbend and bend, unbend, pressure is still there, and bend. So I'm literally like infinitesimally going up this entire area. So this will be nice when we go along the spine, right? We're going to be able to go press, 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 press. So it's bend, unbend, bend, unbend, bend, unbend, bend, unbend. All right. Another way to look at it, I'll do it on the top of my hand. Bend, unbend. Maybe I'll hold it up. Bend, unbend, bend, unbend, bend, unbend. So I'm really getting into all that tissue. Okay. So you know how to do a press and hold, and you know how to do thumb walking. So now let's do it for your neck and shoulders and your spine. Okay. So the shoulders, remember how I'm going to share the screen with you first, and then we'll do it together. So let's share the screen. Okay. So if we now go into the next slide, the shoulder just below that 5th digit, this is just zooming in a little bit. This is the deltoid. I just put the deltoid. There are obviously other muscles, but this is the one that's directly under that 5th digit because this is like where my deltoid is, right? It's furthest away from my midline. So of course it's going to be under my 5th digit, which is furthest away from my midline, which is both of my thumbs put together, right? So that's my shoulder proper. If I go under my 4th digit, I have my scapula here. The scapula is really important when it comes to shoulder pain because we have muscles that are attaching to it, specifically the rotator cuff muscles. We have the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and the teres minor. Those are the 4 of the rotator cuff muscles. Those can make it so someone cannot lift their arm like over 30 degrees, right, without incredible pain. The reason why I love reflexology is because in order, especially with the frozen shoulder example, you can have someone dig into your armpit and right up under. This is what we would do in massage therapy. You would get under that subscapularis muscle and try to free it up, which is very tricky. Right? You have to do it very specifically and very well because there's lots of delicate lymph under there. So it's much safer to do it in the hands. All right. So you would really detail if this were the case and you had frozen shoulder, is you would really get in between the 4th and 5th digit and here and almost on top of the 4th metacarpal head and between the two. right? So if you have shoulder pain, you're going to be addressing the palm of the hand and the top and the dorsum, and you're going to thumb walk underneath the 5th digit, underneath the 4th digit, and you're also going to do it on top. When we do that together, you might find that maybe it's even like a press and hold, press and hold. So you're going to feel into what is best for your body. So that's your shoulder points. That's what you address for that. For the neck, it's going to be every single finger. So if your fingers were spread out, it's like you have 10 necks. If you bring them together and place your hands together, you have one. But because you have 10 fingers and 10 toes, you're actually going to address everything that is mid finger and lower finger to address the mid, upper neck, and the lower neck. So in order to do that, you can do your thumb walking, you could do your press and holds, but you're going to want to do every single finger. Most importantly is going to be the thumb, right? You're really going to detail the thumb if you have problems at the level of the neck, okay? So that is your shoulder and your neck. Next up, you have your spine and your back. So this is where I find it gets very, very fun. I had a teacher once that said, if you have time to do nothing else, be sure you do the spine. Do the spine and do the fingers, right? Do the brain, which is going to be in every single finger, every single pad, and do the spine, which is located and begins at the base of the nail, your thumbnail. It goes all the way down that midline across here, the base of your palm, and then it goes into over here. So the reason why I love this is the spine. These are the vertebrae, right? Cervical spine, 1 through 7, thoracic spine, 1 through 12. There are 12 of them. And then lumbar spine, 1 through 5, and then sacrum and coccyx. You could work the spine proper. You could also begin to move out and address nerve roots. Within that area, there are nerve roots that come out and around that shoot out and innervate every single part of the body. So there are nerve roots that come out from T8 or C7 or L4, and they are literally coming out to innervate different organs, glands, areas of the body. So you could come out and do that. You could also come out just a little bit and go all the way down. This would be like as if you were going down your own spine. Just think of your own spine. If someone were going down it using their fingers, if you were to be on either side of the spine, you would have this muscle group called the erector spinae group. It's just a series of 3 muscles that course down either side of the spine. So you could address your back muscular pain if it's at that level through here. But I would like to say this. My back body is my entire back, right? That's my torso. So in actuality, let's say this is my left hand. My left hand is the entire, especially if I'm looking at this whole palm here or the dorsum, that's my entire left hand part of my body, because if the fingerprints are my face and head and brain, and the finger body and base of the fingers are my neck, next up is my lungs and heart and chest and shoulders, which means that if somebody were to place both of their palms on my upper back, they could massage, right? And literally massage trapezius and rhomboids and all the muscles of the upper back. But if you could literally go through into the inner body, that's where you're going to see the lungs and the heart and the thymus, etc. It also means that if you go lower down, so say somebody brings their palms to your mid back, if that's going to be over the latissimus dorsi, the erector spinae group, other musculature, right? If you go inside the structure, inside the human body, you're going to see liver, gallbladder, spleen, pancreas, stomach. If you go lower still into that lower back, you're going to get into small and large intestines, etc. You get the idea. So what is cool about this, what I love, is by addressing this whole palm, you are literally addressing your entire back body, right? Without, and you don't even have to be very specific about it. I want you to follow sensation. I want you to focus on using the technique. So try your thumb walking, try your press and hold. Look for where it's uncomfortable. Look for where maybe it's a little painful. Look for maybe it's a little bit warm. There's a change in the tissue texture. It's a little bit harder there. It's harder to get through, right? It's uncomfortable. There's little pebbles there, it feels like, right? It almost feels like there's little crunchy bits below the tissue. This is what you're looking for. And when you find that stuff, press more there, right? So in reflexology, I think I said this before, the reason why I love it so much is we get to assess and address at the same time. Okay, so when we're addressing the entire back body and all the muscles that are there, we also are addressing all the organs, glands, and systems. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share. We're going to do that together on the hands, and then we're going to do 2 more points for today before we close. Stop share. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, and that's end show. Okay, so first let's do the shoulder first. So this is my left hand. I'm gonna just press and thumb walk underneath this 5th digit. This is my 5th metacarpal head, right? That's a bone under there. I'm gonna hold the back side and I'm gonna press in and release, press in and release, press in and release, press in and release. I'm thumb walking over this whole area here. Really mindful of where it's painful. I'm not going too deep, so I'm being mindful of staying within my pain threshold. And now what I'm going to do is get in between my 4th and 5th metacarpal heads. And then I'm going to also, for good measure, go underneath my 4th digit, my 4th finger, which is over the metacarpal head, the 4th one. And I'm going to just detail that whole area here. You can, I'm holding it up to show you, but I actually suggest having your hand upturned in your lap. And then you just take your other hand and you're going to apply pressure there. You can be like this, doing your work. Many people these days are on Zoom calls, or they're conferencing, or even when you're riding the subway or waiting for lunch, you can always be accessing your hands, right? So you could be having them down here and accessing underneath my 4th and 5th digits, my scapula, my rotator cuff muscles, ouch, on my left-hand side, my shoulder, and I'm always going to do the other side as well. So go ahead and try the other side. And remember in that thumb walking, you're not picking up and back down, and you're not going into extension. That's going to hurt your joint. You're always going to keep it bent, and you're going to apply pressure holding the back side, and you'll have it in your lap. And so I'm pressing, pressing, I'm bending, unbending, bending, unbending, bending, unbending, etc. So that's for my shoulder. If you have really bad shoulder pain and it's, coming into your front body and you feel it all throughout here, I encourage you to do the dorsum too, the top of the hand, right? So you would actually do on top here and below there. You can use it almost like pressure or a pinching kind of way, almost like I think of it like a clamp or a clasp, one of those big ones. So you would put your thumb here, and using this bone, this is like a hook. You're going to press and hook the back side, and you're just going to press in. And you're going to release, and you're going to press in. So in this way, your press and hold is using that bone. It's just a little bit easier than holding with your thumb and walking. Try both and see what feels right for you. So that's another way into the shoulders. The neck, as we know, is the base and the mid area of every single finger. So you could take all of your fingers. Again, a visual is like if you go and are at a carnival and those big claws come and like take out a teddy bear or something, you could have like a claw and come down every single digit, right? Then I'm getting the entirety of my neck, right? I'm coming down the entirety of my thumb. I could do all my fingers in that way, right? Or I could create that hook and I can press around the entirety of it. This is going to be addressing the neck in the mini hand reflexology map. So you have your shoulders, you have your neck. In order to address your back, I'm going to have you begin with the spine and then go into the hand. And like I said, it's a little tricky because what's going to end up happening is you're addressing the spine, which means you're addressing the nerve roots, which means you're addressing where those nerve roots branch out to, which is every single part of your body, which is also when you go into the palm, you're going to be addressing the organs, glands, and systems via the mini map, and you're going to get the back muscles. Right? And so by default, you're actually giving yourself a mini reflexology session. Okay. So C1, cervical spine 1, is the base of my thumbnail on the medial aspect. So it's on the middle side. Cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine. We're going to walk down it entirely. So I'm going to be walking, doing my thumb walking. And it's in your lap, right? So like this, it could be in my lap. And I can be doing my thumb walking. I'm really going against the bone. I'm not going into the pad, right? I'm not going into there. I'm right on the medial aspect, the side into the bone. So from here to here, I'm going into that mid back, that thoracic area. I'm going down here. And that's an area that is really sensitive for me. So you'll notice as you press on these points, notice where it's sensitive, right? Sometimes I'll ask somebody before a session, I'll say, what would you like to work on today? Or where are you experiencing tension or pain in the body? And someone might say, I don't know, everything's good. Like, okay, we'll work on everything then. And we'll find that when we apply pressure to a certain part of the map, that it's actually quite sensitive there. And I think of it like, it's hard to keep up. Like I can't possibly feel everything that might be a little out of balance. And so this mini map is really, like I said, assess and address. It gives us an opportunity to be like, oh, okay, that part of my body needs a little bit more attention, right? So you have that's your spine. And then you would move into all of these structures. And that will be on your own time. You'll be using your thumb walking to go into the entirety of both palms. Okay. So that is your neck, shoulders, and spine. Next up, we're going to do stress. So stress, we live in a time and a place where life can be so stressful. Reflexology is a resource. It's a way to help calm that inner body. Even right now, I'm so excited to be sharing. I'm like, my adrenaline is pumping, my cortisol is going, right? There's a level of tension in my body just because I'm excited to share, right? I'm going to need to, after this class, relax, right? Maybe I'll give myself some reflexology, right? So we're going to give ourselves some reflexology in the areas that can help us calm by addressing 5 specific points. So those 5 points are going to be pituitary, hypothalamus, adrenal, diaphragm, spine, which you just learned, okay? 2 of them are going to be in the center of your thumb, right? The adrenal will be like I showed you before. Upper diaphragm will be here underneath these metacarpal heads, and then your spine. Those are going to be your 5 basic moves. So you're going to, in the very center of that swirl, fingerprint is a dot or a center of a swirl. That's your pituitary gland. You press in and hold for 5 seconds. You rock up into the hypothalamus. 5 seconds. You go into the adrenal gland. This is the thenar eminence, right? This is so overworked these days. Right through here, you press in and really relax that hand and hold for 5 seconds. You're then going to walk from here to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to do my spine, my cervical. And you could do this with me if you'd like, or write it down to try later. Then I go into my thoracic, And then I go into lumbar, which is here. And then I repeat on the other side. Pituitary, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rock up into the hypothalamus. The reason why we do this, pituitary, hypothalamus, and adrenal. When we're stressed, there are things like, there's chemical processing, right? Neurotransmitters and hormones are being sent out, and the hypothalamus, technically, it's in your brain. It's basically sending a message to the pituitary gland and saying, hey, tell the adrenals to produce cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, right? It's like these chemicals that will make your body feel like this, like fight or flight, right? Adrenal glands are known as your fight or flight glands. So what we're doing when we apply pressure to those points is we're sending that sensorial relaxation response to the literal, or to the corresponding glands themselves. So it's like we're saying, it's okay. You can relax now. We count up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We rock up into hypothalamus. We go into adrenal. We walk across diaphragm. When you think of stress, right, it can be, and keep on walking that diaphragm as I talk. It could be like when we're stressed, we hold our breath, right? Our shoulders lift. So all of those things we want to come down, right? So that diaphragm, we can address it by applying pressure to the reflexology area that corresponds to its upper area. We then end with the spine. Those are the 5 areas, and you would continue on through the base, right? Pituitary, hypothalamus, adrenal, diaphragm, spine. Those are 5 basic moves. Do those plus wherever you personally house stress. So think of it like these are the 5 basic moves. This is like a general protocol, and then I'm going to add my stuff. So my stuff might be when I'm stressed, my digestion is really, really bad, right? I have to go to the bathroom a lot. Or when I get really, really, really stressed, I clench my jaw, right? I get like TMJ, I get a locked jaw. When I get really stressed, my shoulders go up. I feel a lot of pain in my neck. So identify in yourself, where is it you hold stress? And then you would apply pressure to those areas in your hands. Maps are available. Certainly, when we end the class today, if you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll help you. But I will show you really briefly, because I just mentioned those areas, most generally what you can do. So if you house stress in your neck and your shoulders, you know what to do, right? Because you know where the neck is and you know where the shoulders are now. If it's housed in your digestion, I would work everything from your diaphragm line down, right? Get into all those structures, the liver, the gallbladder, the stomach, the small and large intestines. Just do all of it very generally, just because we don't have time to go into it in a detailed way today. If you clench your jaw, that's something I have. I clench my jaw if I'm nervous or if I'm stressed out. Or even at night, I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my God, was I clenching my teeth at night? It's that kind of sensation. You can address your jaw and your teeth and gums at the base of every single nail. So from one side all the way to the other, right? So this is your actual nail. It's going to be just underneath, from one side to the other, underneath every single nail, right? So it's as if I'm going here all the way to the other side, but I'm doing it by using my thumb walking, right? I could also, and the way I usually do it is I take my claw shape and I go from one side of my bone to the other. So I press on one side and I rock all the way over to the other, right? I'm twisting a bottle cap. So I'm not holding it like this. I'm literally using that bone and pressing it against the base of my nail. So that bone is pressed. Then I hold it and I go from one side to the other. So that's something you can add if you clench your jaw at all, okay? And lastly, we will close with sleep. So trouble sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep, it can really affect every aspect of one's life. Good sleep is this. Good sleep is crucial for healthy, thriving state of mind, body systems, all the things. If we're not sleeping well, it's going to be hard to move through our day, right? So if possible, just like with stress, really identify why are you having problems sleeping, right? And this will help you actually in choosing the reflexology areas you would address. So for instance, if you have a difficult time falling asleep because your mind is racing and there's so much going on in the family and you can't, it's just been too much, that's something you're going to want to know for yourself to do certain things outside of reflexology to tend to your emotional state for sure, right? So you'll have that. But also from a reflexology perspective, that will mean that you might want to work on certain brain structures, right? Because certain brain structures, especially within the limbic system, have a lot to do with like fear and worry and pleasure, pain. There's so much kind of going on inside that you want to actually address the brain reflexology areas. If you are having problems going to sleep or staying asleep because maybe you work late and you eat really late at night, right? And that's making it so you're getting acid reflux in the middle of the night and that wakes you up, right? Then you would address, if it's acid reflux or digestive stuff, you would want to address different parts of the digestive system, right? From the very top on down. If you are drinking a lot of water at night, I tend to do this, right? I drink too much water at night. So I'm waking up in the middle of the night just to go pee. So there are certain things you're going to want to do in your life to address it for sure. I always say it's like, know thyself, know the parts of yourself that are doing certain things that are making it so a problem persists. And just let's see if I could change that. Let's see if I could switch from 3 glasses of water to 1, right? Let me work with myself a little bit. And now I have this thing, reflexology, where I can press on certain parts of the urinary system, maybe, right? Or, depending on what it is that you've identified. On the most basic level, kind of like we did with stress. And actually, I will say a lot of sleep issues do come back to that overactive mind. So that stress protocol, those 5 important places, those 5 important areas and points, you would do that. Certainly turning off lights and preparing for sleep, maybe an hour before, can really help as well. And doing reflexology before you go to bed, but also if you can, maybe during the day or the morning. I always say to my students, just do reflexology for 5-10 seconds. That's all you got to do. Set an alarm. It's going to go off 3 times a day. You're going to do reflexology for 5 or 10 seconds. What's so great about this is it's so easy to say, I just don't have time. I don't have time to do this self-care. But if your alarm goes off and Chantel said, I only have to do it for 10 seconds, then you're going to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how I get you? 6, 7. And the next thing you know, it's like almost by the time you get to 10, you're like, I could go another 10. Now I'm breathing. This isn't taking so long. I could do a minute, right? Let it come into your life, but start easy, right? Don't make it like, oh my gosh, I have to do 5 minutes a day. It's going to feel too long. And we want you to do it. So if 5-10 seconds works for you, please take that into your life. And I highly recommend setting alarms. So, with the sleep, though, one of the things I'd like to add, in addition to your stress points, is, 2 of the things that need to be in balance are vitamin D and melatonin. Both of these are neurotransmitters, right? Melatonin, for our purposes today, is the hormone that produces and releases melatonin into our bloodstream, right? Melatonin increases when it's dark, right? It increases, right? There's more melatonin when it's dark. There's less of it when it's light. So that's why an hour before you go to bed, maybe start turning off those lights, right? You're preparing for that melatonin to be produced and released into your bloodstream. That's something on the outside, right? From a reflexology perspective, you're going to address the pineal gland. Okay. You know where I could actually bring up the map one more time. You know where the pituitary gland is? Our fingers are so big, just by pressing on that, you're getting it. I like to do a kind of tilting up and down. In this way, I'm getting pituitary, hypothalamus, thalamus, pineal, right? I'm getting into all those structures, but I'm thinking my intention is to address the pineal gland. For sleep at night, I highly recommend addressing every finger and counting to 5. So you're doing like 1, you're tilting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always get a little sleepy at 3. That's when I kind of go, 2. You do every single finger. And you can do this again while you're just having a conversation, you're listening to somebody, you're watching a movie, you're sitting on the couch, right? So you're just kind of making contact. After you do every single finger for 5 seconds, you can do the spine. And then I just encourage you to address whatever is calling out. Okay. And that is it. That's our class. We did neck, shoulders, spine and back, stress and sleep. It's a lot to put into a short period of time. So I encourage you, if this is at all interesting to you, this idea of addressing your whole body via your hands, there are classes everywhere. There are classes internationally in every country. If you want help, we'd be more than happy to help you. All right, we'll see how that goes as I announce it now. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Reflexology Association of California. I'll give you an email if you have any questions about reflexology, about classes, about maybe you're in a certain state and you don't think there's reflexology there, but you want to learn more. Let us help you. Maybe we can help you along the way. Okay, so did I want to show you one more time the map? Let's look at the map one more time and then we'll close. Okay. And da-da-da. Okay. So we're going to share screen. There. All right. So yeah, let's just look at it one more time. This is the area. Remember where I said pituitary, hypothalamus, pineal, thalamus, right through here. Obviously, all of your brain structures are there. It's just there's not enough room on a piece of paper, right? So this is reflected in all your fingers. You do that for sleep. You do that for stress. You're going to do the spine, right? Which means you're affecting and addressing every single part of the body via the nerve roots. You are addressing the shoulder underneath that 5th digit, scapula underneath the 4th, and then you're addressing all the fingers and the necks of the fingers, which is the neck reflexology area. If you have problems with digestion or clenching of the jaw or tension in any part of your body, you would address that too, right? So this is where, again, it just starts to get really fun, is you can do it from inside out or outside in. Maybe a doctor says, oh, this is what's going on. We noticed that your blood pressure is a little high, right? You could take that information and then use the map to work with different organs, glands, and systems, right? Or you can do it with the assess and address principle. I'm applying pressure to my hands. I notice where it's painful or where there's discomfort, and I press more there, right? I think of it like, I always say, it's like when a baby is crying, what do? You pick it up. In reflexology, when something is painful, when there's something out of balance, you press. And that's all you have to do, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and end the show for today, just for today. So as I mentioned, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Reflexology Association of California. A good email to send questions to would be racreflexology@yahoo.com, RAC reflexology@yahoo.com. Any questions at all? And thank you so much for joining me today. And Yeah, I wish you all the best as you become more curious about, learn more about reflexology in your hands. On behalf of the Reflexology Association of California, we thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to learn tools for you and yourself and your family. If you'd like this class, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, or you could share this video with others you think may be interested. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful, happy reflexology week, and be well. Have a great day. Bye.